Okay, so let's talk about a huge question. When does the fight against corruption cross a line and start violating personal privacy? That's the explosive issue at the very heart of what we're breaking down today. It's a story where one single government hearing lit a legal firestorm that could, honestly, redefine the rules for every single one of us.
All right, let's set the scene. The place is the House of Representatives. The date, April 22nd, 2026. Now, this isn't just another boring day in Congress. Oh no, this is the day a government agency makes a move that sends absolute shockwaves through the country's legal and political world.
So, what was the number that got everyone's attention? Billions, with a B. In a very public hearing, the Anti-Money Laundering Council, we'll call them the AMLC, they presented data on billions of pesos in financial transactions. And just like that, with that one word, a private financial matter became a massive public spectacle.
And that leads us right to the central question we're unpacking today. The disclosure? Yeah, it was absolutely explosive. But was it legal? Did the AMLC, in trying to be transparent, actually break the very laws it's supposed to follow?
Okay, so let's get the facts straight real quick. The AMLC gets up and reveals financial data during a public House hearing. This data is connected to what they're calling suspicious transactions, linked to Vice President Sara Duterte and her husband, attorney Mance Carpio. And because this all went down in a live, public forum, well, the legal alarm bells started ringing almost instantly.
What happened next was this fascinating legal showdown. Seriously, this one single act of disclosure created a head-on collision between two incredibly important and kind of contradictory laws that deal with money and privacy here in the Philippines. And here's the conflict, right here. On one side, you've got the bank secrecy law. Its whole job is to protect your bank deposits, to keep them private. But on the other side, you have the Anti-Money Laundering Act, which gives the AMLC the power to investigate suspicious financial activity. It's a real classic battle, you know? Privacy versus investigation. To help us make sense of this, let's bring in the analysis of a veteran lawyer, Anthony Ludovici Wista. He really frames the issue perfectly. He says, look, the AMLC's power to investigate is crucial for sure, but it's not unlimited. And the key question he raises is this: was the proper legal process actually followed here? So let's break down that core legal argument. It really comes down to three main points. First, your bank records, they're legally protected. To pry them open, you almost always need a court order. Second, the House hearing, it's an investigation, sure, but it's not a court of law. It can't determine guilt. And third, and this is a big one, labeling a transaction suspicious is just the start of an investigation. It is absolutely not a final verdict of wrongdoing.
Now, a key piece of this whole puzzle is a landmark Supreme Court case, Republic versus Eugenio Jr. This case basically cemented the rule that you need a court order to look at bank deposits, with only a tiny handful of very specific exceptions. This is pretty much the backbone of the entire argument for financial privacy.
So what did the legal experts really zero in on? It was this critical fact. During that entire public hearing, nobody ever presented a court order that specifically allowed for the public disclosure of these bank records. That missing piece of paper? That's the whole controversy right there. And as you can imagine, the fallout was immediate. Supporters of the vice president were furious, and they quickly called for an investigation into the AMLC itself. The accusation was simple. They believe the agency might have just broken the bank secrecy law. The court charge is direct. You can't just blast sensitive bank records out to the public without a judge signing off on it first.
This whole situation really forces us to step back and look at a fundamental balancing act that every democracy has to perform. On one hand, right, we all want transparency from our government. But on the other hand, we have these fundamental rights to individual privacy and, of course, due process, the right to a fair legal fight. How do you possibly weigh one against the other?
And this is exactly why this whole thing matters to everyone, not just the high-profile people named in the hearing. The rules and precedents that get set here, they affect the financial privacy of every single one of us. The real question is, where do we draw that line to protect everybody's rights?
Which leaves us with this final, really critical question to chew on. How do we, as a society, give our agencies the power they need to fight corruption effectively, without at the same time chipping away at the fundamental right for every single person to be presumed innocent until they're actually proven guilty in a court of law? It's a huge dilemma, and there are no easy answers.